What if I told you the best credit card for beginners isn't it actually designed to help beginners at all? What if the very card millions of Americans are told to start with is quietly setting them up to fail, locking them into debt cycles that last years, sometimes decades? Here's the mystery. Credit cards are marketed as a financial stepping stone, a tool to build credit and unlock opportunity. But if that's true, why do beginners, especially in the US, end up with lower credit scores, higher interest, and more financial stress after getting their first card? Today, we're going to uncover what's really going on, not just which credit card is best for beginners in the USA, but why that answer exists, how the system evolved, where it breaks down, and what history teaches us about avoiding the same traps millions fall into every year. And the twist? The best beginner credit card isn't always the one with the flashiest rewards, or even the one most banks recommend. To understand the best credit card for beginners, we need to understand the system that created beginner cards in the first place. Credit cards didn't start as consumer products. In the early 1900s, credit was personal. Your reputation mattered more than a score. Local banks knew your name. Merchants extended trust, not plastic. That changed in 1950, when the Diners Club card was introduced, not for beginners but for wealthy business travelers. Credit cards were a privilege, not a starting point. Fast forward to the 1970s. Banks faced a problem. Growth was slowing. They needed more users, so they industrialized trust. Enter the FICO score. Suddenly, your financial identity could be reduced to a number. And with that number came a new opportunity. Mass market credit. By the 1990s and early 2000s, banks discovered something powerful. First-time borrowers were incredibly profitable. They had no comparison point, no negotiating power, and no history to challenge fees or interest rates. Thus, the beginner credit card was born. But here's the key question. Was it designed to help beginners or to monetize them? Early beginner credit cards were simple. Low limits, high interest, no rewards. The logic was straightforward. New borrowers are risky, so banks charge more. For beginners, especially young adults and immigrants in the US, these cards were often the only option. Secured credit cards emerged first. You deposited $200 or $500 and that became your credit limit. Safe for banks, expensive for users. Then came student credit cards, marketed as empowerment, advertised on campuses, often paired with free t-shirts and pizza. What wasn't advertised? APRs exceeding 24%, late fees compounding monthly credit limits so low that normal use spiked utilization ratios. From the beginning, the system rewarded banks for mistakes, not success. By the 2010s, beginner cards evolved again. Banks realized fear alone wasn't enough. They needed desire. So they added 1% cashback, credit-building tools, free credit score monitoring, no annual fees with strings attached. This is where the modern debate begins. Which credit card is actually best for beginners in the USA? Names started dominating the conversation. Discover It Secured Capital One Platinum Chase, Freedom Student Pedal 1 and Pedal 2, Capital One Quicksilver for good credit. On the surface, they looked similar. But under the hood, the differences were massive. Some reported to all three credit bureaus, others didn't. Some automatically upgraded users, others didn't. Some punished one late payment with years of higher rates. And beginners, by definition, didn't know which details mattered most. Here's the breaking point most beginners hit. They get approved. They use the card responsibly, or so they think. They pay the minimum, they carry a small balance. And then something strange happens. Their credit score drops. Why? Because beginners are taught the wrong lessons. They're told, use your card to build credit. pay on time, Don to max it out. But they were not told why. They don't understand. Credit utilization, average age of accounts, statement balances versus current balances, how interest compounds daily. So even with a beginner-friendly card, the system punishes ignorance. This is where many people blame themselves, when the structure itself is the problem. The first credit card you get in the US can affect your finances for 10 years or more. Why? Because it anchors your average credit age. It sets behavioral patterns. It determines your relationship with debt. Data shows that consumers who start with high-interest beginner cards are significantly more likely to carry balances, long-term missed payments within the first 24 months, upgrade late or not at all. And here's the shocking part. According to consumer finance studies, over 40% of first-time credit card users pay interest within the first year, even when they intended not to. The system doesn't collapse under bad intentions. It collapses under incomplete education. Regulators tried to step in. The Card Act of 2009 limited certain predatory practices, reduced surprise fee hikes, improved disclosure, required ability to pay checks. But disclosure isn't understanding. Banks still market beginner cards using optimism, not realism. Apps show rewards more prominently than interest. Minimum payments are framed as safety nets, not warning signs. And most credit education tools exist after damage is done. The fix didn't change incentives. It just added fine print. Today, fintech companies promise a new solution. No credit check. Build credit without a card. Use your bank history instead of a score. Sounds familiar. Just like student cards, just like secured cards, just like early rewards cards. And the pattern repeats: easy entry, limited downside visibility, monetization through late fees or upgrades. Yet, among all this noise, one truth has emerged. The best credit card for beginners in the USA is not the one with the best perks. It's the one that reports consistently to all three bureaus, has no annual fee, has a clear automatic path to upgrade, encourages full balance payment, not minimum reliance. Historically, cards like Discover It Secured or Capital One Platinum became popular not because they re-perfect, but because they minimize irreversible damage. They don't reward debt. They tolerate learning. The best credit card for beginners in the USA is the one that you can keep forever without cost, teaches discipline through structure, limits punishment during inevitable mistakes. For many beginners, that means a secured card with graduation or a low-limit unsecured card with no rewards temptation. Not exciting, not flashy, but historically proven. The mystery resolves here. The best beginner card isn't designed to make you feel rich. It is designed to quietly disappear from importance as your credit matures. Takeaway: 1. Your first credit card is not about spending. It's about behavior. Rewards come later. Takeaway: 2. High interest isn't dangerous if you never carry a balance, but beginner cards assume you will. Takeaway: 3. The real risk isn't rejection. It's approval without understanding. Every financial system tells you a story. Credit cards tell beginners, this is freedom. History tells a quieter story. This is a test. The question isn't which card you choose. It's whether you understand the rules of a game designed long before you joined. If this video helped you see beginner credit cards differently, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this kind of deep financial storytelling matters. Subscribe for more breakdowns that challenge financial myths and explain the systems behind everyday money decisions. And comment below, what was your first credit card? And what do you wish you knew before applying? Because for most people, The real cost of their first credit card isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in years.